The governorship election drawing closer. The stakes are rising. Who's positioning where? What are the power dynamics within and across party lines? What does this election mean for the future of governance in Anambra State? The conversations are getting deeper as it counts down to election day. Political watchers say this is a moment for the APC to rise above conventional politics and make a choice that will not only secure victory but also lay the foundation for lasting impact in the southeast region. Senior Special Assistant to the Senate President, Senator Akpabio, is also political affairs analyst Ikenga Prince Ezeimo joins me tonight. Mr. Ikenga, thank you very much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Good evening to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, Nigerians. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us. So let's begin with a broad overview. How would you assess the current political climate in Anambra State as we move closer to the governorship election? Would you say there's a shift in voter sentiments compared to the last election cycle?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to have this conversation to be a kind of an intellectual engagement because why I said so is for the past 3 weeks or thereabout, or the past 1 month, there has been a kind of petty politics going on in Anambra State, orchestrated by the governor himself, where there is no sign of issue-based campaign. It's all about calling names, trying to decimate the opponent, and kind of all kinds of what I describe as childish stuff. So I want to really call on all the stakeholders, especially the executive governor of Anambra State, who is going for re-election, to drive an issue-based campaign. Anambra is an intellectually driven state, a state that has different types of caliber of men. So it shouldn't be a ground where you have the governor only stand on the podium to call his opponent unnecessary names, and then you have the opponents trying to defend themselves at the same time, throwing a kind of tantrums that are quite unnecessary. So we personally, as a young stakeholder in the state, I am calling on the governor to drive an issue-based campaign. As a governor who is going for re-election, he should be telling the people of Anambra State what he has done and why we should re-elect him again, and not to be telling us who is qualified for the election and who is not qualified. It's not his desk to tell us who is qualified and who is not qualified. I think INEC should do that, and then the great people of Anambra will make their choice accordingly. Having said so, I want to say that the parties involved for this election are ready, and they are making efforts to woo the great people of Anambra State to vote for each and every one of them. You have APOGA, that is the ruling party in the state. Professor Charles Soludo is the governor. He has for the past 3 years, he has been on the saddle, controlling the affairs of the state, which to me, as somebody who is coming from an academic background, I am personally not so much enticed by what he has done so far, but that is left for the great people of Anambra to say so. We have in APC Chief Nicholas Okachuku, who is the flag bearer of the party, with a seasoned senator as his running mate, distinguished Senator Uche Ekunife. And other gentlemen in the other parties. George Moalo is in Labour. Chief Mosu is in ADC. So I think these gentlemen are ready to go into robust campaign and then convince the great people of Anambra to vote for them. So the overview is that the state is charged, so far, and all the parties involved are really moving into the field to woo the people for the election.
All right, Mr. Ikenga, you're asking the governor to be the bigger person, take the lead when it comes to issue-based campaign, which is expected and valid. But would you say same of his opponents? Would you urge his opponents to do so?
Sorry, can you come again, please?
You just asked the governor to be the bigger person. You asked him to take the lead when it comes to issue-based campaign. And I'm asking you to be fair. Would it be fair for you to also ask his opponents to do same?
Yes, of course. Of course. Why I am calling on the governor is for obvious reason. One, he is a professor. And when we elected him in 2021, there was a whole lot of hopes on him. We felt that this is a man who is quite above board. So if now that he has stayed for 3 years and he's not been able to tell us what he has done and what he would do, only for him to start attacking his opponent, then it is a no-no for many of us, especially those of us who are coming from academic background in the state. So why I'm particular about the governor is because, one, he's a professor who should know more than the rest. Secondly, he was the person that started the campaign of name calling within these few weeks. So he should live above board as much as I am telling the rest of the candidates to also do issue-based campaign. Very important, because Anambra is not a child state. I am not saying that the rest of the states belongs to children, but Anambra, by all standard, is a great A state, and we should live as such.
All right then. You know, I doubted Abga chieftains who had been on this program to tell me that the just concluded by-election was going to determine who is truly in charge of Anambra politics. And for a fact, the by-election was won by Abga. APC chieftain have also been on this program to say Abga's popularity is weaning off because the people are disappointed. But as an APC member, how defeated or disappointed were you or your party with the outcome of that by-election? How far did that go in stamping the popularity of Abga in Anambra State?
In 2021, I, Ikenga, actually voted for Professor Charles Soludo. And like I said earlier, we had a lot of hopes on him. He is a professor, he has CBN background, and a whole lot of robust CV that he has. Then we all voted for him, hoping that indeed we are going to see somebody who will perform far better than Peter Obi and Obiano combined. Unfortunately, we are not seeing the promises he made to us. For instance, he promised us a Dubai, Taiwan. What we are seeing in Anambra today is a kind of Ugwoba and Gariki. And far from the Dubai, Taiwan he promised us. And you have a governor who will be renaming the institutions that were there before him after himself, just because he repented some of these institutions. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't speak well of him as a professor. You see what happened in the first 2 years of his administration. There was massive killing in the entire Anambra, kidnapping every day, you know, all sorts of killing, court clash, whatever you call it. Anambra was never safe. For the first 2 years, he just started taking certain steps within this year, maybe because it is an election year. And this is not what is expected as a professor. Look at what is happening in Borno, for instance, where you have Professor Zulum as the governor. You see what he has done in education, you see what he has done in security, you see what he has done in various sectors of the society. In Anambra, we do not enjoy all these things. However, the governor has massively invested in the media, that some people might be deceived that he has performed based on what you see in the media. But if you're on ground, you see that there is quite departure from the character we elected and the person that is currently leading us. Yes, the governor has done a few things in terms of road construction. But the problem is, what is the standard of the road he's constructing? He is still in government, he is still within his first tenure, and most of the roads the governor has constructed are spoiling, right before his face. These do not speak well, or these are not what we expected. And I can go on and on and on. Nigerians clamored for local government autonomy. And thanks to the president, the Supreme Court gave total autonomy, what I can describe as total autonomy, to the local government. In Anambra State, is not so. The local government chairman, according to him, according to the governor, do not have what it takes to manage the funds of the local government. So as I speak to you, the governor is still managing the funds of the local government. Today, just this afternoon, I visited one of the offices in charge of this federal FAC allocation, and they gave me the document. I looked at the document, the document that contained the amount the federal government pays all the states. And I look at my local government. I am from Njikoka, and my state, as of July, got about 360 million. And Njikoka has just 6 towns. So How do you justify that there is nothing on ground in Njikoka to, commensurate to the amount of money that this governor collects on behalf of my local government on monthly basis? These are unacceptable. So these are things our people need to know. It is not just about shouting or Okuko Ojukwu. That Okuko Ojukwu is almost dead. And we should live above the sentiment of Ojukwu's fowl. Ojukwu is dead, and his fowl they have killed. They are now using the sentiment of Ojukwu to rob us all, and this is unacceptable.
And, I really don't understand what you meant by the governor is investing in the media, because believably the media will report what the media see on the ground. Don't you think so?
No. We are all in Nigeria. We know how it happens. We know what plays out. And especially in this time of social media, sometimes it is what they want you to see is what they will show you. Sometimes in Nigeria today, what we call investigative journalism, I don't know what is happening to that sector. I will want media to go to Anambra and do robust journalism and see the opinion of the people. Anambra people are in pains. There are people they call on their code. These people will catch you for any slight defaulting. They will beat hell out of you and almost snuff life out of you. This is not. We are not in Thomas Hobbes' state of nature where life is short and brutish, and that is what they have condemned Anambra State into, and this is greatly unacceptable to majority of us.
I also remember how Governor Soludo's endorsement of President Tinubu's second term became very controversial. Expectedly or not, that sparked criticism from political opponents. The PDP was so upset, and some of its members, displayed the level of anger expected of the APC. A man like Jude Ezeimo, for instance, accused Governor Soludo of manipulating President Tinubu's visit for political gain. And some of your party members were also on this program saying no amount of endorsement would guarantee Governor Soludo's victory in November. What exactly is the APC scared of?
Well, the governor, I want to specifically plead with the president to be very careful. Soludo publicly calls the president his friend. And I want to ask the president,
is there anything wrong in that?
Friend in 2001? It was very obvious that the governor, my governor, supported Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in 2021. And again, he is telling the president that he's his friend for whatever thing he feels he can benefit from the president, in terms of this election. The president should understand that the governor, my governor, is not his friend. Whoever that says the governor was trying to manipulate the president is very, very correct. He is not. They are not friends, and there is nothing much he can do for the president in 2027. I can assure you that. The president needs his party to be in the saddle so that he can be assured by 2027 a couple of things can come into play, and then the stakeholders can agree on certain things. Then Anambra people can be told why the president will go into must be re-elected. The Soludo by 2027 will have no stake. So all the promises he's making to the president is just for him to catch what he's pursuing, which is second tenure. And once he gets that, the Soludo will know, will not remember that he was a friend to the president. So it is not about what anything APC is afraid of or what the rest of the parties are afraid of. No, it is about the realities on ground. It's about the person we know. It's about the man that is our governor. He wants to come back for the second tenure, and he can make any promises. He can even promise the devil breakfast every morning. That is what he will want. But the point is that the president must be very, very careful, because the governor was never in support of him in 2021. So I wouldn't know why he will want to support the president in 2027. So all these promises does not add water, does not hold water.
But they say, the only constant thing is, Mr. Ikenga, they say the only constant thing is change. What happens to whether he has now changed his opinion about supporting the president? And are you privy to any information that may, negate Governor Soludo's comments about his long-term friendship with the president? Because he keeps saying he's not the president's friend. And according to the governor, he's been friends with the president for over 20 years.
Yeah, he told us that the progressive are working together. And by that, he means that the All Progressive Grand Alliance, the party in my state, is working together with APC, the party at the center. That is what he told the president. That is what he's making the people in the villa to believe. Now, you can't be telling a father, the president is the father of the party and the father of the nation. You now tell him that we are all in the same basket, we are working together. Then his children in Anambra, you are doing everything possible to run them out of the state. That is deception. That is manipulation, and that is what we are saying. The governor is not working together with any progressive. He is working for himself, by himself, with himself.
All right. Now, looking at the major parties, ABGA, PDP, APC, and others, ADC is now in position to take over the governorship position. How would you rate their preparations and candidate choices going into this election? Do you believe the APC, your party, has a realistic shot at clinching the seats in the states long considered a stronghold of ABGA? And also, how do you intend to convince ABGA, or rather Anambra voters, that the APC is serious these times? Numbers speak, don't they, Mr. Ikenga? The last election, Governor Soludo got over 100,000 votes, and that's about 46.5% of the votes. Considering the margin, ABGA members say APC has nothing to offer Anambra sons and daughters. And this was also, corroborated by George Mogalu, who is now with the Labour Party. That was the pioneer national auditor of your party. He says it moved because APC is not sellable in Anambra State, and it might be wasting his time contesting under the platform of the party. So if we're to holistically analyze APC's chances in the November governorship election, what makes Nicholas Ukachukwu better than other candidates?
No, APC, nobody will say that today APC is not sellable in Anambra State. That is not very correct. APC was not sellable in Anambra State, maybe during the time of General Buhari. But this president has shown certain level of inclusive to the great people of Southeast that we cannot begin to alienate ourselves away from APC again. Anambra people have known better. Ndibo have known better. So nobody can say that APC is not sellable in the state. Today, our wife, our adorable wife, Bianca Ojukwu, is the Minister of State Foreign Affairs. And she is doing exceedingly well. We see her every day engaging the international community, bringing a whole lot of attention to Nigeria. She is from Anambra State, and she is doing well. And the president has also, established Southeast Development Commission. So the Igbo have seen that this president has the interest of our people at heart, as far as we are concerned. Politics is not just a game that should be played with emotion, and our people have really understood that. So nobody will say today that APC is not sellable in Anambra. However, I will tell our people to look beyond party, to vote humans, persons. I will prefer where the people of Anambra will have the candidate of the YPP, Dr. Sir Paul Chukwuma, and the candidate of the APC, Chief Nicholas Ukachukwu, and then look at these two critically and vote for one of them. Governor Soludo should, by all sincerity, shown the way out, because all the promises he made us, we are not seeing any of them coming to reality. We are not seeing any of them.
I'm sure anyone watching would tell you, Mr. Ikenga, that it sounds very hypocritical of you to say that APC is sellable, or anyone saying APC is not sellable in Anambra State is not saying the truth. Meanwhile, any other person watching would also say, if you say the governor has not performed, you're also telling lies. But let's take a break at this moment, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation on our other platforms. Please stay with us, everyone. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. Tonight, we'll focus on the Polity and Anambra governorship election, and I've been speaking with Ikenga Prince Ezeimo, SSA to the Senate President, Senator Akpabio. He's also a political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for staying with us, Mr. Ezeimo. Now, before we move on to governance,
thank you.
Do you mind that persons like Valentine Sigbo, who had accused Governor Charles Soludo of funding Ukachukwu to undermine the APC's prospects, is not happy with how that primary election went? And I'm sure you heard him, recently saying the current crop of contenders makes Soludo feel like he's running unopposed. Now, there is also Paul Chukwuma, who slightly feels entitled to the ticket and has also left the party. Is the APC planning to pacify these aggrieved members?
Well, the Chief Valosbo is very, very entitled to his opinion. And, he ran the election with Sir Nicholas Ukachukwu, and he lost, and he's currently in court. So it is very, very normal for him to be very critical of the candidate of the APC. But he is not entirely correct that Soludo is feeling that he's running unopposed. It's not true. Remember that there is a personality of Senator Uche Ekunife in the joint ticket of Nicholas Ekunife ticket. So you can't say that Soludo is running unopposed. If Soludo feels that he is running unopposed, maybe he wouldn't be so critical of the candidates of the APC. If you check all his campaign until Senator Uche Ekunife, started responding to him, he will always go to attack the candidate of the APC and the deputy governorship candidate of the APC. That tells you that he knows that these are really his problem. Like I said, Anambra should look beyond party. The elites also must come together. They must understand that if the governor should fail us in his first tenure, his second tenure will be horrible. It will be more horrible if we allow him. So all these rhetorics, we should rise above those rhetorics and then move into this election with every sense of seriousness to change the narrative. Look, why we need to change Governor Soludo is this. Our people, the politicians must understand that if you don't perform, you should be voted out. That is one of the reasons why I feel that the governor should be voted out. So that the next governor will also know that if he messes up, the number of people will vote him out. If you check all the factors, all the indices of governance, bring them on the table, measure them with the amount of money that is available to Governor Soludo, and you see that all these his overhyped projects are not up to 10% of what he receives. And it is paining me as somebody who is informed of what happens here in Abuja. You can't come to Abuja, collect all the money in the world on behalf of the people of Anambra State, then go down there and give us substandard roads. Yes, he is opening some roads, dualizing some roads. What are the standard of those roads he's dualizing? Compare it with the money available to him, and you see that he has done next to nothing. He's one that said that P2B's effort is next to nothing.
And that's you talking about
next to zero.
And that's you talking about infrastructure, which has remained a major concern for residents of the state, from roads to public utilities. But how would you rate the governor's infrastructure drive? Has the pace of urban and rural development matched the economic potential of Anambra State?
Sorry, come again, please.
Did you get my question? You were talking about infrastructure, and I, said that yes, that's like a major challenge. It's a major concern for residents of the state, from roads to public utilities. And I was asking you to rate the current governor's or the current government's drive, infrastructure drive. Has the pace of urban and rural development matched the economic potential of the state?
That's fine. Now, one of the mistakes these people make is to compare Governor Soludo with the first tenure of Governor Willie Obiano and then Governor Peter Obi. And nobody talks about the amount of money available to Governor Soludo today. You should measure Governor Soludo with those he's currently serving with, such as Governor Peter Mba of Enugu and Governor Lesoti of Abia State. Even Senator Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. These are the people you should measure him with. These are his contemporaries as far as this republic is concerned. All right. Now, what he's doing within these 3 years, compare it to what Dr. Peter Mba has done in Enugu in 1.5 years. You see that Soludo has achieved next to nothing. What has he built in Anambra? In Oka, for instance, yes, he built a government house that was started by Dr. Mbadenuju, then abandoned by the successive governors. Then he came up, built it, completed it. Now, my worry with the government house, a government house that was built and commissioned in 2025 is already older than the government house of River State that was built more than 22 years ago. That is worrisome. Come to road infrastructure that he's building. A number of roads Soludo built are already dilapidating right before him. This is worrisome. When you have roads built by Dr. Chris Ngige 20 years ago still standing, these are the things our people should look at. Then he went and built a phone center for us. I don't know the impact of that phone center in the life wire of an average Anambra person. However, we call that these are part of development, no doubt, but is it a priority? Should a professor prioritize phone center than investing in education, massively in education? What has he done in education today? Does Anambra State, as an A state in Nigeria, have any student, not even one student, in anywhere in Europe or America under the scholarship of the state government? Ebonyi has more than 96 students in Europe and America under the scholarship of the state government. In the next 10 years, when these guys come back to Ebonyi, there will be total revolution, to the positive direction. We can't say so in our own state, in Anambra, So these are things that we should bring on the table. In the area of health, what has my governor done? He went to Aguleri, repented a hospital, namely Solution Hospital, a hospital that was there. He went to Nibo, he repented a hospital that was built, federal government hospital that was built by General Buhari, and namely Soludo Hospital. He went to Agwata, Uekulobia, repented the stadium, namely Solution Stadium. He repented a park, named it Solution Park. Everything in Anambra now is Soludo everywhere. But these are not what we want. Anambra wants sustainable development. Anambra wants to see infrastructure that will stand the test of time. Anambra people want to see the kind of roads built by Senator Chris Ngige for us. We want to see a robust engagement in education, just like P2B did.
So,
these are the things we want to see.
Mr. Ikenga,
we want to move forward. We want to move away from normal kindergarten development.
Okay. So what you have implied tonight is that there is a disconnect between budgetary allocations and on-the-ground execution. But while you say all you have said tonight, budget ranks Anambra top in prudence, number one in southern ease of doing business, all without a borrowed kobo. Over 739 kilometers of roads now slashed across the state. 420 kilometers commissioned. Governor Soludo has hired over 8,000 teachers, made public schools free, and spiked enrollment by 18.7%. And according to the state government, which you have attested to tonight, a befitting government house stands after 34 years jinx. In your estimate, this is not good enough, or he hasn't done anything. But what can APC do differently?
Thank you very much. APC will go into robust and sustainable development. For instance, today in Anambra, life is short, brutish, and nasty, and nothing will work in an environment that is not secure. APC want to really invest seriously and heavily in security. Let me tell you, when Senator Ifeanyi was alive, the killing was so much that the senator himself has to invest in security. And he proved to people that indeed, this thing is not rocket science. Before the senator died, there was no issue of kidnapping, killing, robbery in his environment, in Nnewi local government, because he invested in technological security system. Security these days is not what you do kinetically. When something happens, then you begin to chase people all around. No, you have to do something that is robust. And that is what APC will bring to the table. First of all, APC will secure Anambra. As I'm talking to you now, the only investment our dear professor has brought to Anambra is Ebukobi's Mad People's Home. That is the only investment that we have seen within these 3 years. Somebody coming into the state to invest. That is because the state is not secure. Nobody will want to come and invest in an unsecured environment. So APC will first of all secure the state. To secure Anambra is not too much to be done. What is our land mass that we cannot cover? So APC will invest in security, and this security will be done in a way that it won't be kinetic. It will be scientific. It will be technologically driven. Having done that, we now begin to woo investors into the state. Anambra is a state where you have businessmen, very business-oriented people. We have to engage these businessmen, let them see why we need to invest in our state for robust growth and serious economical advancement. This is what APC will do, and so many other things. We need to send our children abroad. Scholarship. People should understand that there is need for them to compete with their peers anywhere in the world. And the best way to do that is to expose our children, our students, to what education is in the world. Education is not just what you do in the classroom. Exposure is part of it. So APC will want to invest heavily in education. The mistake some of us make is thinking that, a professor being a professor will know It is not about 1, 2, 3, learning ABCD and learning how to draw lizard and the mosquito. No, we need to now go to China, understand how they do things there, and then engage our own young people in Anambra to go and engage them over there, learn from them, then come home and implement. These are part of things we need to look at. APC will look at. You look into agriculture. Benue State is not the only agricultural state in Nigeria. The entire Anambra North senatorial zone is an fertile environment. We need to explore that axis. Nobody has done anything in agriculture ever since Peter Obi left. In fact, Obiano wanted to do something at the time. They were even exporting Ogo and yam, according to Obiano's government. This time around, there will be massive investment in agriculture. Mechanized agro-allied business will go on in Anambra, and people will see that, yes, this is possible. All this is not rocket science. It is all about commitment and serious passion to bring change.
And I also know that according to reports, Anambra generates about 180,000 tons of solid waste monthly under current estimates. But the state capital alone produces over 400 tons of solid waste daily, but only 30% of that is collected. And annually, the government spends about 1.5 billion naira on solid waste management and disposal. This particular administration also invested in waste management campaigns. But Onitsha and Awka, for instance, still battle with refuse dumps. These two cities are choking in filth. What exactly is wrong?
What is wrong is
and
that
I'm sure you know, kindly hold on. No, kindly hold on, Mr. Ikenga. And I'm sure you know this didn't start with this current administration.
Yes. The reason why some of these sectors you mentioned are failing is because my dear governor, erudite Professor Soludo, has decided, for whatever reason best known to him, not to allow local government system to function in Anambra State. If local government system is functioning as they ought to be, with the amount of money available to them today, you won't see any debt anywhere littering the state. But today, if you go to Awka, especially that Koka axis, you think you are in a slum. That is because the local government system is not functioning. The governor is still in charge of the funds. And he told us that the local government chairmen are not mature enough to handle the funds.
But when you say the local governments are not functioning, what exactly do you mean by that? Anambra just had a local government election.
There was a charade that took place in Anambra some months ago that they called local government election, where the ruling party in the state sat in various locations, manufactured results, and then imposed APOGA appointed chairmen and converted them into elected chairmen. And now, these appointed/elected chairmen have joint account with the governor, because the governor sent an executive bill to the state assembly, where they now legalize. They do some the state assembly we have in Anambra is a wonderful one. Is an OES state assembly. They just passed the law for the governor that the local government chairman will have joint account with the governor. So the governor currently is still in charge of the funds. So whatever he gives to the chairman, that is what they take. And now that is why you see what you just mentioned, that we have a whole lot of debts littering the state capital. I tell you in all honesty, if the local government system is functioning, with the amount of money available to them, remember I am very emphatic about the amount of money currently available to these people, because the president made it in a way that the local government would be well funded so that the entire Nigeria will develop in one pace. But unfortunately, most of the governors are not allowing the local government system to function in Nigeria.
Absolutely. Because I actually wanted to say that, can you hold on, Mr. Ikenga? I actually wanted to say, as of last year, there was an election, a local government election in Anambra State. And I'm sure you know that for over 10 years, there was no local government election in Anambra State. So how do you blame this local government, this particular administration, for this crisis? Because while you blame the governor, some say this issue also stems from poor public attitudes towards sanitation. But if you say it's a government thing, what must governments now do to enforce environmental laws and perhaps reorientate public behavior on waste disposal?
My governor is a professor. When we were electing him in 2021, we wanted him to do things differently, away from an average Nigerian politician. We were expecting that my governor, as a professor and somebody who has, laundered his image in Nigeria in a way that we think he was living above board, we wanted him to do something that is completely different from what Nigerian politicians do. So it palpitates our heart that he is not just like any other politician.
You're not answering my question, Mr. Ikenga. You're not answering my question. You keep going back to my governor, my governor. I'm asking you, if you're perhaps sitting with the governor at this moment, what would you tell him? How would you advise him to manage this particular crisis? Stop saying my governor, just advise him.
You can't manage those crises without adequate funding. See, if you want a good pot of soup, you have to invest heavily to prepare this pot of soup. That is the point I'm trying to make. If the funds that the federal government sends to local government are available to them, then we'll have all the moral rights to go and question the local government chairman. But in a situation where you call a local government chairman to do this, to do that, it tells you that we don't have enough funds. Then you go back to statistics based on what is available, what is provided to them by FAC. You now see they have a whole lot of money supposedly at their disposal. So how do you reconcile that? The only way to reconcile is that the funds is going to the governors. And that is what I'm saying. If these state government, local government chairmen have enough funds, as much as the federal government sends to them to function, I tell you, they will function optimally. And when they fail, we can now hold them responsible. But as it stands now, we can hardly hold them responsible because they have made us to understand that indeed there is nothing much they can do, because the funds, it's just a fraction of the fund that is that is given to them by the governor.
Okay. Let me also ask you about this serious challenge. Anambra communities are sinking under erosion, despite being one of the smallest in landmass. According to reports, the state bears the tragic burden of being the erosion capital of Nigeria. And people talk to us about how erosion has affected agriculture, productivity, settlement patterns in Anambra State. And it has become a subject of debate if indeed there is a crisis a crisis far beyond the financial capacity of the state government to manage alone. But what should happen, or how would you advise the government of the day on how to, mitigate this crisis? Because it's a serious challenge.
Thank you very much. I am particularly affected by this because, like I said, I am from Njikoka and I am from Nimo. My community, Nimo, is actually being ravaged by erosion. There's erosion we call Mboko Nkwo in Nimo. That's Mboko Nkwo, that is erosion. That erosion site has destroyed at least nothing less than 10 houses, 10 residential houses, and it's that bad. And it continues to expand. So I am particularly affected by this. And we also have another one somewhere around the other part of Nimo, Ajanso side, Then you go to Orumba side, there's a whole lot of erosion disturbing the entire local government. Go to Oko, I know there's a very terrible erosion site in Oko. In fact, you're very correct. Anambra is the erosion capital of Nigeria. And certainly, Governor Soludo is not the cause of that. I am not going to blame the governor for the erosion. I would rather really plead with the federal government. I would rather plead with Mr. President and whoever that is responsible to please come to the rescue of our people. It's sad what happens in Nigeria. One of the things that happen in Nigeria is that sometimes people who are responsible for calling the attention of the powers that be to some of these things do not do so. Or when they do so, they don't do it adequately. So I am using this medium, this platform. Thank you for providing me the opportunity to call on Mr. President to please come to the rescue of our state. If it means, giving more money to our governor, and specifically instruct him to use it to, tackle erosion menace in the state. That would be appreciated. And again, I know there's what we call ecological funding. Ecological funds. Some of this, a fraction of these ecological funds should be please channeled to Anambra State. Erosion is a terrible menace on my people, and I don't think the state governor will have all it takes to tackle it by himself. Just that politics is distracting him at the moment. He may not be able to tackle it head on. The federal government should come to his rescue and possibly devote a particular sum to start, remedying some of this problem, starting from my community, Nimo. It is so bad. And I want to believe that the president is listening to me, and I'm pleading with him as a father to come to our rescue. A lot of residential houses are being wiped out by this erosion. Farmlands are being decimated, and is affecting, our economic life. So please, it is very important, and this is the right time to handle it.
All right. And looking ahead, Mr. Ikenga, what kind of leadership and policy direction should Anambra citizens be demanding from the next governor?
We want a very focused governance. A few governors in Nigeria have actually shown that indeed it is possible for a governor to perform very well in Nigeria, in terms of what the masses want. Nigerian people are not difficult people. They need just a little, The next governor of Anambra State should please look into security. Our lives are being cut short in Anambra, and this is one of the worst things anybody can face. Waking up in the morning without knowing whether you will live to sleep and wake up the next morning. That is too bad. The next governor of Anambra State, and that is what the APC will bring on the table. Even the YPP Guba candidate is hammering on security too. So the next governor should please invest heavily in security. The person should employ the modern way of securing a modern environment and not doing what we did last 30 years, be doing it now. It cannot work. The next governor should be people-oriented. Even when you are creating certain policies, also know that people must survive, people must live in order to see the development you are bringing. You don't decimate a people because you want to bring a certain level of development. No. The next governor should be compassionate. It should be people-oriented. It should be focused and a very result-oriented person. With that, we will go far. And if the person messes up, Anambra people should vote the person out in the next 4 years. If we keep on doing this, these governors certainly will sit up.
All right, then. Before I let you go, Mr. Ikenga, perhaps what's the party's biggest concern going into this election?
My biggest concern is rigging. Anambra, last 3 weeks ago, there was a by-election in my state for the person that will replace Senator Ifeanyi Ubah in the Senate, and then the House of Assembly member that was kidnapped and killed under this government. And then we had an election to replace them, and we saw a bizarre attempt by the ruling party in the state to rig the election. Election rigging is not all about hiding somewhere to write results. No. When you deploy billions of naira to buy votes, it is an integral part of election rigging, and it is highly unacceptable. In this age and time, such practice should be banished from our climb. In the last election, I was ashamed of myself to see the party in my state buying votes with 30,000 naira per vote. If the governor has performed, what was he afraid of? Why would he deploy such amount of money to be buying votes? So this election going forward, I am calling on all the parties involved to shun election malpractice of any style. Let people be allowed to vote whom they want, but before they are allowed to vote whom they want, people should be educated on the right way to
All
go.
right.
And once the proper electoral education is done, people should be allowed to vote their conscience.
All right, then. The election is just a few weeks away, and definitely TVC News will continue to monitor and analyze developments leading up to that day. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. I've been speaking with Ikenga Prince Ezeimo, SSA to the Senate President, Senator Akpabio, also a political affairs analyst. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Good evening.
And thank you very much for watching, everyone. Marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But before we go, let's tell you that the views and reactions of our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC News. Meanwhile, you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at 12:30 a.m. Get in touch with us on our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube.